Welcome to version 2.9 of my Reaper Pro Tools configuration. If you haven't used it before, it's the simplest way to move from Pro Tools to Reaper without having to learn anything new in terms of audio editing and keyboard shortcuts. I'll leave a link to my GitHub in the description where you'll find the configuration file and the instructions on how to install it. If you're already using it, these are the updates. First is the red marker. So usually while I'm recording like this and the talent does some mouth noise like this, and I want to delete it later, I would put some red marker right here and put it in that spot. And then when I stop recording, I would go in here and just delete that part. The previous version, if I close the project and open it again, the red marker got broken, so it would not color the correct marker because I was inserting the marker and then coloring it. So this time I'm making it a lot simpler and I'm choosing the color at the time of insertion, not later. And if you want a different color than red, you can just change these three values right here. These are RGB values. And the keyboard shortcut for it is period on the numpad. Second, I made scripts to go to previous marker and next marker. So if I want to select between markers, I can't just select a marker and hold shift and select the next marker. It doesn't work. So I made a script and assigned it to shift and square bracket to select between markers. So I'm at this marker, I hold shift, square bracket to the right, and it selects to the right, square bracket to the left, and it selects to the left. And if I just use the square brackets, I can move forward and backward and it would remove any selection. That is very helpful for when I want to export certain sections and do an exact selection. Now, sure, you can use the region. I could right click and create a region, but that's much slower than just using the already existing markers and selecting between them. And the script is called extend razor edit area to next marker and to previous marker. And their normal navigation square brackets are go to next marker and go to previous marker. Now, these exist by default in Reaper, but they don't clear the selection. So I made a new script to also clear all selections when I move from marker to marker. I also made scripts to disable audio or video on the selected item. So you'd usually go into the properties of the item and then go to properties again. And if this is a video, you would have disable audio and disable video. So this script will disable the audio and this one will disable the video very quickly without going into the properties of the item. You just select the item and click the shortcut. I also made another version of it, which is this one, make item audio only and make item video only. And this makes sure that the item has one of the two, because if you disable audio and disable video, now the item is empty basically. So this makes sure that at least either the video is on or the audio is on, not both of them are off. And this took me a really long time to figure out how to use this chunk thing. I haven't assigned them to any shortcuts because I'll leave that up to you. I'm already basically using all the keyboard buttons for other shortcuts. On my big Apple keyboard in the studio, I have a lot of function keys, so I assign them to F17 and F18. And perhaps in the future, I could work on some version of this to explode the tracks. So instead of having to duplicate the item and disable video on one and disable audio on the other, I would copy one to a next track and do this automatically. I still haven't gotten to this yet, maybe in the future. And also if I run this right now, the audio is disabled, okay? And if I close the project and open it again, then the waveform will go away. I tried to rebuild peaks and refresh it in some other ways. It didn't work out. So you will still see the waveform, but without the audio. When you close the project and open it again, the waveform will be gone. And it doesn't really bother me because usually when I'm preparing projects, I would just do this and close the project. Also, something to speed up my workflow, I made a script to create a new track and also record arm that track and rename the track. So when I'm doing dubbing work, I would create a lot of new tracks for a lot of different characters, and I would usually create the track and then put some plugins on it and record arm it and double click here to rename the track. That takes a lot of time and I don't have that time to spend. So with this shortcut, I can just click it, it creates the track, it arms it automatically, it opens the rename so I can type quickly and start recording right away. And also something that is really cool in Reaper, you can save a default effects list. So let's say I want all these effects that I'm using right now on my voice to always be inserted when I create a new track. I'll go to the effects and right click right here and go to effects chains and save all effects as default chain for new tracks. So right now, if I click this and I create a new track using my method, boom, all the effects are there. It's record armed. It's ready to be renamed. I rename it, hit enter, and start recording. That's great. And if you don't want that anymore, you can just select all the effects, remove them, and same thing, right click, effects change, save all effects as default. And now when you create a new track, it will not have the effects on it anymore. Now in this configuration, I assigned this keyboard shortcut to Control T, which is the default keyboard shortcut to create a new track in Reaper, because the one that I use is Control Shift N, which is the same as Pro Tools. On my Mac setup, I assigned it to the button next to the Z letter. That is tilde, I think, on the Mac keyboard. So you can assign these scripts to whatever shortcut is best for you. I'm just pointing out what I did new in this configuration. It's also good to have a keyboard shortcut assigned to rename the track instead of having to every time move the mouse and double click in the label spot. In the studio, I have this assigned to Shift and tilde because they are next to each other and I will not accidentally hit it. But I didn't give it any keyboard shortcut in this configuration because I'll leave that up to you. I also updated the keyboard shortcuts file and the mouse modifiers file. So when you install my configuration and get all my scripts, you will have in your data folder right here, if you scroll down, my keyboard shortcuts and my mouse modifiers. So I updated these files to reflect what I did in this configuration. Now let's go to the mouse modifiers. I'll hit Control P to go to the preferences and scroll down right here to mouse modifiers. And if you select the context of region/marker and go to double click, I said the default action is to edit region or marker. So when I click right here, double click, I can edit the marker. And if I have a region, I can double click on it and edit the region. Previously, that was the default for the marker, but with a new update for markers and regions, because look what they did. You can collapse them and do stuff with them. This default changed. So I made sure that double click edits both the marker and the region. I also changed the media item bottom half, so if I hold Control and double click on it, it will open the properties that will allow me to disable audio or video if this was a video file, just because this is convenient. And Shift double click on the bottom half allows me to change the color of the item. A normal double click, it opens the normal properties, and if it's a media item, normal double click opens the media editor. Also in the ruler lane right here, I changed left drag with Control to draw a region. So you can hit Control, draw a region without having to make a selection and then right click and create region. You can just quickly draw a region like that. Just the same way as you can draw an item like that with Control and drag. Also with the new Reaper update, they fixed the fader behavior. So if you go to mouse right here, you have ignore mouse click unless directly on fader handle. So previously this did not exist. And if you click right here, the fader would just jump. I have this turned on by default in my configuration file. So if you click on anywhere else, it will just select the track, but it will not move the fader. You have to actually grab the fader handle. Also, because they changed how markers and regions show, you might be seeing something like this where you see the lines, but you don't actually see the name of the marker. You can just drag it right here and right click in the lane right here and go to ruler display and ruler lane manager and turn off collapse ruler lanes. So right now, if I make this very small, it does not hide the markers anymore. It will just overlap them. Also under appearance, ruler/grid, I made sure to turn off display regions with square edges. So right now they have square edges. Previously they were rounded like this. A bit better on the eyes. That's up to you. You can also make the markers and the regions both square if you want. That's really up to you. I have them both rounded. I also removed the VST paths because in the previous configuration I had both paths for Windows and Mac, and still when you install the configuration it would still rescan all the plugins even if the path is there because it's a different user. It's not exactly the same path. So I'm not sure, unless there's a way to include a path without the user account, then it would make sense, but otherwise I just removed them. And last but not least, I cleaned the reaper.ini file, this one, from all the Windows paths. So I went through all this and made sure there's no path from my old Windows PC, and also made sure there's no recent projects or recent effects used right here. So it's basically a new Reaper. So I basically just remove all of my personal data from the configuration file. And these were all the updates. It's free, by the way. You don't have to pay anything. If you want to try it, you can go to my GitHub linked in the description below. You'll find the configuration file and instructions on how to install it. And if you're already using my configuration, make sure to give this video a like. Click on the video on screen right now and I'll see you there.